Alright, so some people say that having 100 attribute points in any attack stat, whether it be basic attack, key, or strike, any of that sort, that it's cheap and unnecessary. And it's not necessary, no matter what race you are, that you can kill someone in minimum hits, like 15 hits if you're a basic attack, or like one shot somebody with one ultimate or whatnot. Well, I'm gonna state my opinion on that, and the fact that the people who think that are kind of right and they're kind of wrong. But I'm just stating my opinion. No need to make a video about me and trying to insult me in the title or anything, you know. So yeah. Okay, so if you don't already know that some races have higher basic attack than a lot of others. Now, the Saiyans have the highest basic. Well, technically it's the Earthlings, but in a sense we can just, let's just say with the Saiyans and the Earthlings, let's just put them at an even place for right now, even though they're way nowhere close to even whatsoever, no matter how you look at it. Okay, and then we look at Earthlings again. They have the highest strike, and then we look at female Earthlings that have the highest key. Now, some people say that it's broken to have 100 in attack stats. Some people say, go even far as to say it's even broken to have 100 in any stat. That includes health, ki, stamina. That includes that as well. Well, in certain senses, I don't see how 100 in health, stamina, or maybe stamina, but that's still not really justified. 100 in ki, well, if you have 100 in ki, well, there's no reason to argue against that. Ki is so easy to get anyway. Like, you shouldn't need that much, but if you still feel as if it's broken in a sort, then so be it. Now, having 100 in health, that's not really broken at all. Even if you have a Majin and build it to where it's double health bars, that's just how Majins are. That's their advantage. I would take advantage of that. Or you can just be the type of person to put less health in them to save up more points, so you can just have the even amount of health as someone else. But we all think differently. Nobody should think the same as another person just because they said it. But having 100 basic attack, having 100 strike, or 100 ki is justified in some regards. Now, I'm going to explain this thoroughly. Of course, we know some races hit harder than others, whether it be ki, strike, or basic. But if you have, alright, let's take Namekians for example. If you have a basic attack Namekian, alright, if you don't know the rankings already, Namekians rank 7th in basic attack. So they're the second lowest basic attackers in the game. If you try to put like 70 in basic on them, they'll do damage, but not nearly as much as you think they should. Now, if you put 100 on them, they'll still do damage, but they won't do nearly as much damage as the races above them. That's why I say it depends on which race you are, is what you put basic attack or 100 in anything on. It's not, some races it's necessary to do optimum damage on it. Like if you want to be a strike super or a ki blasting Majin, you may or may not have to put 100 in it, because they are right above Namekians in those categories, so they won't do as much damage either. So it's recommended to put a high amount of stats in one of those things. If you want to be a mix of them, you can do that as well. I know Pharaoh, he's a basic attack striker, and he has 100 in basic and 100 in strike with 100 in health. He rocks 5 bars of stamina, so he's good. But having 100 in basic on a character, on a custom created character that it ranks low in that attack stat or any of that sort, then yeah, it's really justified to put 100 in it. Otherwise, you won't do any damage and won't be effective. Now, some people put 100 in a race that really doesn't need 100 basic attack in it. Like, for example, on an Earthling or a Saiyan. Now, I know I may or may not sound like a hypocrite for putting on because I have that exact same build on my Earthling and my Saiyan and my Frieza actually, but I don't really care about it because I'm just stating my opinion. I'm not saying it's like not necessarily broken. Well, for Frieza's, Earthlings, and Saiyan, I guess you could say I'm sort of in the wrong, because those exact 3 characters are actually the top 3 basic attackers. So I guess you can call me sort of a hypocrite for saying that, or for what I'm about to say. But funny enough, I'm switching all my stuff. I made my Earthen a striker with 100. Even that's still not even justified. I just want to see how much damage I'm gonna do. After a while, I'll switch it back and put more in key so I can extend my combos. But for Earthens, it honestly does not matter how much you put in any stat. They still do damage for some fucking reason. Just put 80. But I'll get to that in a couple other videos. Now, putting 100 in a 100 in a stat to a race that doesn't need it is necessarily, if to the people that think 100 in any stat is broken, well, yes, in a sort of way, but you have to understand, putting 100 in any stat means they have to depend on that. So if you're a basic attacker with 100 in an attack stat, if you run into 100 health, 100 stamina, 100 basic build, all right, that's pretty common. But I don't think people realize people with those builds, they have to hit you. They have to punch you with basic attack. People don't realize that. If some people get mad that, oh, I die in one combo because I try to be aggressive. Well, don't be aggressive. Don't be aggressive at all. Actually, stay away from them. And if you have another character, use a character that sort of counters it. Like Ki, for example. With Ki, you stay away from your opponent as much as possible. With basic attack, you have to get close to him as much as possible. So the goal of 100 basic, person with 100 basic attack, they have to hit you or they won't do damage and they will lose. So fight against it, counter it, and they can try to argue that you're running or whatever. But if you're a Ki blaster, your goal is not to punch. It clearly asks you whenever you make your character, and whether you want it to be Ki, strike, or balance. If you click Ki, it clearly says blast from afar and keep your distance. So that's what you do. You keep your distance and blast from afar. I've never been the one to say how about someone fights. Like, if you're a Ki blaster, you're supposed to use your Ki. If you're a striker, you use your striker. And if you're a basic attacker, use your basic attacker. I may say some person is annoying to fight, but I won't say his fighting style is broken, because really everybody has their own fighting style. I'm not going to judge against it. I know I don't like fucking Phantom Elisa, and he doesn't like me either, but I never once said that the way he fights is broken or I said it's annoying. Hell yeah, I said it's annoying. But I never said it's fucking cheap or scrubbish or any way, because if you have 100 Ki, that's how you're supposed to fight. Not you can combo. You have the option to combo it too, whether you have points in basic attack or not. That's up to you on how you want to fight with your Ki and whatever your attribute points are set in. But don't try to discriminate someone for the way they fight and you don't agree with it. Now, I may disagree with somebody with a move they use and the way they fight with it. For example, backpedaling, alright, that's one thing. But doing it with Pearl Flash and Evil Rise and Absolute Zero, now that's really unnecessary, for real. Regardless if you have points in strike. But I'm just stating my opinion. This is like the end of the video. I'm there ending the video. But yeah, having 100 in attack or strike, depending on where you are, like if you have 100 strike on a human and you just want to be like me and just want to see how much damage it's going to do, because to be honest, like I've never had 100 in strike. Before I made my human basic attack, I had like 95 in it. I know that's really close, but I just wanted to see how much damage it did. But my person wasn't maxed out either. That's another thing. If you have a skinny if you have a skinny male human and have 100 in strike, it still won't do that much damage. It'll have the same effect as if you're a buff female or a buff male human and have like 70 in strike. You see, though, that size difference makes a difference, like 30 points or whatever. So it really depends on how you build your character and what type of race you are, let alone what's your clothes and what's your Z-so. So it all just depends on the way you fight with it. Not really the way you fight with it, but the moves you use with it. I know, like Evil Rise, it does a ass ton of damage, especially if it double taps or whatnot. So saying 100 in basic or strike or Ki is really all about considering what race they are, what type of build they have, what kind of clothes they use, and what's their Z-so. Now, some people have presets for it. I understand that. But you just can't go around saying certain things are broken depending on how it is. Now, if someone's using like a maxed out buff and maxed out everything or whatnot on their character and they have 100 in that attack stat, if they're a male human and doing it with strikes, then alright, I guess you can kind of complain about that. If they are a buffed out male Saiyan with 100 I guess you can kind of understand about that, but 100 attack on a Saiyan, you really can't do anything else with a male Saiyan, to be honest with you. Even with a female Saiyan, you can't use basic attack on them, but you have to use strike and ki on them. But for male Saiyans, they really can't do anything else. They're only good at basic attack. So that's honestly the only thing you can really put on it. You can only rock that build on a Saiyan. You could try to go as a hybrid Saiyan if you want. It'll be a little difficult. I'm not saying don't do it, but it's not what they're most efficient at. They rank lowest in most of those categories. But if you're like a Namekian or a Majin or something like that, then it's sort of justifiable to put 100, because if you don't put 100 in any of their attack stats, if you want to specialize in that or whatnot, then they won't do any damage and you won't be really efficient with it. Like, regardless, you cannot one-shot somebody. Like, regardless if you have basic, ki, or strike, you can't one-shot somebody with an ultimate if you're strike or ki, and you can't one-shot somebody with a combo. Regardless, depending on how much health they have, majority, if you have 100 health, you cannot one-shot somebody with high enough health. With a Namekian or Majin, even if you have the clothes to even max out the stats even more. But yeah, that's just my opinion. That was my video for today. If you like it, like my opinion or whatnot, feel free to leave a like and leave a comment on why you agree with me. If you disagree with me, feel free to leave a like and or dislike if you disagree with me, and leave it in the comments. If you just generally hate me and hate this video, feel free to flag it and report it, and don't comment at all, because I don't have time for that.